Hey, good morning, friends, and welcome to this week's episode of Patio Ponderings. And today my patio is in the prayer garden at Trondheim Church. And it's an appropriate place to be because we have been talking about, through this season of Lent, the Lord's Prayer. And we also, just this past Sunday, in Jesus' Sermon of the Mount, heard Jesus talking about prayer, about not heaping up empty phrases, about going into our rooms behind closed doors to pray in secret. We also had the gift of the Lord's Prayer in that same reading. And so today, rather than thinking about a specific verse or a piece of that, I've been thinking about prayer in general. Prayer has been, for me, and I think for many people, one of the more mysterious, for sure, spiritual disciplines that we do as Christians, as followers of Jesus. I think it's also one we struggle with the most. It's probably one of the most heard requests from people or statements from people that I don't know how to pray. We're very uncomfortable in our Stoic Lutheran tradition with praying out loud in front of people, that is for sure. And we think we often feel like we just don't know how to do it, as if there is one right way to pray. And I just have always had questions about how prayer works. It is a mystery indeed. I remember, this was quite a few years ago, someone that I knew who was a leader in the church I belonged to at the time had been very ill. And she made the comment that she had so many people praying for her and that those prayers were the source of her healing. And at first glance I thought, wow, that's amazing. But I started to think about that a little more and I thought, well, is prayer a popularity contest then? The more people you have praying for you, the more likely it is that your prayers will be answered. What about those people who don't have a lot of people in their lives, who don't have people to pray for them? Does God ignore them then? I don't think so. So just that really brought up a lot of questions for me, and frankly some that I still struggle with on exactly how prayers work, how prayers are answered. Does God ignore our needs if we don't pray about them? That doesn't seem right either. So it's just a very mysterious spiritual discipline, and yet prayer does have an effect. In fact, they've done some scientific/medical research on prayer, and certainly people who pray often have better outcomes, health outcomes, both physically and mentally, than those who don't. Maybe we can chalk that up to psychology rather than prayer or faith per se. But they've also done studies where people have prayed for others without them knowing it. And sometimes that shows that even those people have better health outcomes. So prayer definitely makes a difference. I've heard anecdotally and experienced myself anecdotally enough to know that that is true. And we may never understand how or why. So I just invite you to engage in some pondering about prayer, to maybe take a step in thinking about prayer in your life and the part it plays for you. And I'm going to have a couple resources listed below this video. There are a few books that we have used here at Trondheim. One is Help Thanks Wow by Lamott. We use her format for prayer often in our Wednesday night services. Also the book Creating a Life with God by Daniel Wolpert. We used this book a few years ago during Lent as a way to explore all kinds of different ways to pray. And finally, a more recent book that I found really helpful and interesting is the book Learning to Pray by James Martin. He comes out of the Catholic tradition. So just a few resources for you, an invitation for you. Would love to hear your questions and thoughts about prayer in general. Have a great day, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.